Hi everyone, welcome to Yenga's Corner. Today, super excited to have these two young ladies with me, and the reason why, I'm gonna let you know a little bit later on. For the month of February, this is the month of relationships. So I was focusing on different aspects of relationships, not just intimate relationships, but also a relationship with other family members. So in today's episode, we'll be talking about siblings because that's a big part of relationships. That's the people we grow up with. So I'll let them introduce themselves. Start with the one on my far end. So if you can just tell us your name, how you're related to the person next to you, and yeah, we'll move on. Today it's really unscripted, so we'll have all the bloopers. Well, it's just a conversation today.
Hey y'all, my name is Nema. I am the younger sister, and I'm related to the person on my far left. First far left.
And it's not the far left.
Oh, well, yeah. Anyways, I've been related to her since I was born, but she's been related to me since she was 4. I'll let her introduce herself. On to you.
So I'm the sister. My name is Lila. And yes, I have known this individual for quite a long time now. Yes, I am the older sister.
It's true. She is.
Anyways, yeah, super. They're always trying to pull each other's legs. So today I want us to talk about siblings because we always have. Siblings. We love them. They make us mad. They make us crazy. They drive us nuts. But at the end of the day, I think they bring the best of us. They bring the most the positives in us. So I wanted to capitalize on that. So these are my daughters. So, like if you haven't figured out by now, they're trying to make a long presentation, and it was just amazing to watch them grow up since they were kids, 4 years apart, very young. They weren't playing too much together because of the age difference, but they have grown to be very, very close all the time. Talking sometimes in the wee hours of the morning, and it's just amazing to see that bond. And myself, I grew up with 5 siblings, so I had to relate to each and every one of them in a different way. So today I want to talk to Lila and Nema so that they can share with us, like, how have they lived all these years together. How has it been having each other as siblings? There are other people who don't have siblings because they're the only children an only child in their family. So how has it been to you? Has it been easy? Did it require some work? Was it natural? So, it's just a conversation. Let us know, because there are other siblings who are watching and they're saying, I don't know what you were doing. So maybe you can share a few tips. Lila, what do you think?
Okay, well, I can go first. The beginning of our relationship was not so great. I'm the middle child, so I have an older brother, and even though we got along just great, like most girls, I wanted a little sister. And I did get one, and I got bored of her pretty quickly on, because I realized that babies just cry and poop all day, and it's really annoying. So I quickly moved on and did other things. And when my sister started to be able to talk and walk, we shared a room. So I used to share with my brother, and then eventually I shared with my sister. I remember waking her up at 6 a.m. every day to come watch some cartoons with me. But then, eventually she started talking a bit more and more and snitching a lot, and I got really annoyed at that too. And we just eventually drifted apart because I was annoyed by a lot of things that she did, and I realized that children can be unpleasant sometimes. So for a long time, we didn't really talk much. I wasn't really much of a big sister. I would kind of just do things on my own, and she would copy me a lot, which also annoyed me a lot. And anyway, a lot of little things like that just ended up kind of messing up our relationship. But yeah, I'll let her speak about the beginnings.
Yes, I might as well speak from my point of view, right? So, I was born and I was a crying and feces machine. That's all I did for a while, which I understand why we got annoyed with me very quickly. Yeah, as I got older, I was known as the snitch, and she was known as the introverted sister who doesn't want to interact with her younger sister. So that just made me feel like, okay, well, my siblings are too cool for me, anyways. And at first, I told myself, they're too cool for me. I should not be with them. But then eventually I felt like, no, they're so cool that I want to be like them. So I began to copy my sister a lot. Like that one episode in Arthur where DW copied her brother Arthur, dressing up like him, acting like him, talking like him, being interested in the same things as him. That was me with my sister. So yeah, I can tell why obviously we would get annoyed with that. But yeah, we came around and solved things. But I will admit that for the most part, it was not sunshine and rainbows. Although in my eyes as a kid, it was always sunshine and rainbows. But seeing as the way I am now, looking back, it was not great. At least not for my sister.
Did you guys have anything in common? I mean, I hear you talk about one being a snitch, one being an introvert, but like, did you have any likes, any interests in common that got you to do stuff together?
We like SpongeBob and dolls and cartoons and dolls.
Yeah, I think we just
And
liked
crafts.
we liked what most young girls like, so dolls. We watched the same shows. Well, no, not really. She would watch a lot of like younger kid shows, and just to prove that I was too cool for that, I wouldn't watch those shows. But yeah, we liked the same toys. Though I didn't really play with her that much. Like I would actually secretly play with my dolls so that I don't have to interact with her. But later on, though, we did end up both having a pretty strong interest in drawing. So I've always loved to draw, and later on, Nima started drawing as well, and I think it's still part of the copying phase.
Yeah.
So it's a copying phase for Nema. You want you want to be exactly like your big sister, and I hear you. I mean, it's about siblings. So where does your brother fit in all this?
He don't. No, I'm just kidding. He fits in. Yeah, he fits in. I feel like honestly, he's there trying to understand what we like, and I feel like now we've managed to identify what we have in common, such as video games and watching old shows or watching The Office. So yeah, I feel like that are some of the things we've managed to like find out that like we have that in common. And if I were to be honest, I feel like now it's mostly just we can easily have conversations together. We can easily just talk about things together. Our interests doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be like the exact same thing that we like, but we still manage to bond well.
You kind of make compromise.
Yeah. So he talks about like his interest in like, for example, sports, and then we talk about our interests, for example, anime and etc. So, yeah.
And so, Lila, you say before you two weren't close together. So, what changed that made you to take more interest into your little sister, like making you two get even closer to each other?
Well, I can't think of a specific instance where I woke up and I'm like, gosh, this is a really not healthy relationship. It just kind of evolved through time, I would see other people with their siblings and they were getting along just fine, and it wasn't the case for us three. And I didn't want that, honestly. I felt like it wasn't how it was supposed to be. And you and Dad were often stressing the point that as siblings, it's important for us to stick together, to have a good relationship with each other. So I started praying about it, because whether I want to or not, like it's not easy to just one day completely change your personality. It's something that takes time. So even though I wanted to have a better relationship with my siblings, my sister especially, just doing it was a challenge as well. So I prayed about it for a while, and then I had that talk with Nema, where I apologized for not having been the greatest big sister, and I kind of just had we did baby steps until, like, eventually we got to the point where we are now, where we're borderline crazy, but we're crazy together, so it's okay. It was like we started with like basic activities, like watching a show together, because I would see these people, they're like, oh, I can talk with my sister for hours, and I was like, what? Who can do that? That's just so crazy. I know. So at least with a show, you don't really have to talk. But then since we had watched these shows together, it kind of created these inside jokes between us, and then we could talk like, oh, you remember that show? And we just went from there. Yeah.
And it's so it's nice. I like the way that you pointed out that, one, you realize that this is not a healthy relationship, and there was the part of your parents, like I was talking about it, and your dad, we were talking how important it is to have that healthy relationship between our children, because we wanted to see them together. That is our joy, like to see them united, to see them being able to do things together, being able to play together, and being able to depend on each other, so that, it starts from the home, and then they can build their base outside. And like Lila was saying, it's one thing that really bothered us, and we were like, we're not going to let it go. We kept on talking to our children. And I like the fact that you said you had to pray about it, because some things you can't just change them overnight. When you have a desire, and especially if it's something that is in line with God's will, because God wants his children to live in harmony, to live loving each other, then he gives you that strength to be able to actually do it in a natural way, so that it's not like it's a forced way. It's like, you're doing something mechanically. And it's true. Now it's like you didn't know where to start, and now it's like we can't even tear you guys apart. You're always talking to each other like for hours and hours. A little bit the same thing, like me and my sister, like we'll be hours and hours on the phone talking to each other. So it's really beautiful to be able to see that. And also, I like the fact that you went and you apologized, being able to say, hey, I haven't been the big sister that I'm supposed to be to you. I haven't stood up and, and helped you. And I don't know, how did that make you feel, Nema, just for her to come and say that? I hope you wanna like, duh, yes, you haven't. Like, how did it make you feel, and how did you react to that? Like, how did you receive that?
To be very honest, that was not too long after I had watched one episode of My Little Pony, where there were two sisters that were arguing, and two other sisters that just always bonded perfectly well. And the two other sisters, right? One of them said to the older sister, she was like, yeah, well, when you do something wrong, or when you're not being a great big sister, you should apologize to your sister, and should try and do stuff together and try to, bond more, even if it's not necessarily something that you like, or if it's not something that she likes, just show each other's interest. And as I was seeing that, I was like, wow, that's so cute, but I know that it's just cartoons and happy endings. It has to end well. Mm-hmm. So when my sister came to me and apologized, it just caught me off guard, because it felt like it was in a movie where, things can finally take a good turn. Mm-hmm. And well, that's what happened. Ever since, we're still living our happily ever after as better siblings.
Well, guys, I mean, if I leave this girls to go on, we're not gonna end today. But we just wanted to share that it's important, especially as siblings. Maybe you don't have that great relationship, but you don't wait until the other person takes the first step. This is your brother, this is your sister. You need each other. You know, we need to be humble enough to say, hey, I need that relationship. It's worth fighting for. It's worth me putting the effort. It's worth me building. Because you know what? At the end of the day, like, there's nothing that can separate that relationship. Your friends, you can break up. Even your parents, they can break up, you know, but not siblings because you share the same blood. So, like, you have to stick to each other. So, I mean, maybe we're going to have other episodes later on. We're going to talk about other stuff. But today I just wanted to stress the importance of having, you know, that sibling love and being able to have that connectedness, being able to be close to each other because you are each other's anchor. Sometimes it might not be easy to talk to your parents and about things that you're dealing with, but it might be easier to talk to your sibling. I talk to my sister almost every day, and she's thousands and thousands of miles away from me, but we stay connected. So and with my brothers too. So it's important to be able to keep that that relationship going. So I don't know, you guys, you have any last words before we end today?
I can say that it's not like I always hear about siblings that are fighting a lot. We didn't fist fight. We weren't violent like that. We just didn't talk. And so I would just warn people against like thinking that, well, we're not physically fighting, so it's okay. But not talking is probably just as bad, if not worse, because you just keep on growing with this. You grow up but being distant with the rest of your siblings. So even if you might not go talk to them about absolutely everything, just every now and then having a moment where you play a game, watch a show, anything, just instead of having each person in their corner. Because yeah, you're not technically like fighting or causing an uproar or anything like that, but it's toxic and it just keeps on building up until when you each leave the house, that's it. There's no more relationship.
And yeah, all I can say is siblings are going to stay with you until you move out far, far away. So the best thing to do is get to know your sibling and get to spend the most time with them, because you never know. Your sibling is basically your best friend, and it's not much of a choice, right? So if you have a best friend that you just always argue with or never really talk to, kind of awkward. But if you get to know that best friend and if you get to actually spend time with them and, you know, just bond, then that just makes the relationship better. And the best part of it is that you guys are related by blood, so you'll always be together. So siblings are important. Ain't that right, siblings?
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your time, and it has been a pleasure. I am blessed to see these young ladies grow up closer and closer by the day, and I wish the same thing for all of you who have siblings. And it doesn't matter if you grew up apart. Take the time now to be able to draw each other closer to each other. So until next time, you know, share this video if it has been a blessing to you. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Take care. God bless you.